Hi there, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. My name is Melanie and this is another Smash Your Stash video for the month of October, and this month we are focusing on scraps. It's been a while. I have accumulated quite a few again, so I store my scraps in an iris bin, which you can see is about overflowing, so it's definitely time to clear this up. I have a few leftover scraps from a class that I took, and I also keep some white and black, mostly scraps, in this bin. I'm hoping to clear more of this out than this, but we'll see what happens. Typically what I do with scraps is I either make panels of certain sizes that just, I can make cards easily out of, or I make base pages or base cards, which are basically the startings of a scrapbook layout or the startings of a card, but don't quite finish. So the first thing I'm going to do is sort through the papers and combine patterns that I think would work together to make some base pages, because that's going to use up the biggest bulk. And then anything that's smaller, we start moving down to base pages and panels. So I will come back and I will show you what's what, as in what patterns I paired together and what I made with them. Okay, I've got a pretty big stack of scraps that I've sorted through and kind of grouped. And then I have some larger scraps that I didn't assign to anything, and I thought maybe as I was going through I could see if I could use any of these. And then I have a whole bunch of Strippy scraps that always make great borders. So again, same deal, just have those tucked off to the side. And then in that pad, or in that box, I had these 8x8 black papers, and then this 8x8 pad, these really bold stripes. So these aren't technically scraps, but I have them in my scrap bin because I don't want to store them. So let's see what we can do. Okay, so one other thing before I get started, the goal with these is to use up the scraps as much as possible. I try not to cut into them a lot. I'm not going for fancy designs, I'm just going for basic pages. So you may see a lot of pages that look very similar, but because of the different patterns, and ultimately when I add photos and embellishments, they're going to look different anyways, but that's kind of the goal. So this is the first pairing that I had. Simple Stories Life Captured. I don't remember where this one is from, and this was a jelly bean soup paper, but I thought those three colors went together. So let me put this together and I'll show you what it looks like. So here's the first base page. I actually did not end up using all of this, even though I just finished saying I would try to use all of it up. I like striped paper, so I have no problems keeping that. But I just felt that much more than that would have been too much for this layout. This is what I mean by a base page. It's just a starting point. I can take this in any direction. I can leave this as a 2-page spread. I can rotate this one, and or I could use these as individual 1-page spreads. So, okay, this is the first one. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, for the next layout, I have a little piece of this crepe paper, La La Love, and crepe paper, Hooray, and I have 2 of these strips that I pulled from that stash. I think I can do something with these, so let me show you what I come up with. So for this one, I pulled out one of my Creative Memories border punch cartridges with the stars, because I thought that kind of went with the celebratory paper. And this one is done. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so the next papers that I combined were 2 of these papers from the Photo Play collection, Happy Camper. The buffalo plaid is nice, but I think I want to use the icons for the camping, and then this plaid here in some way. And then I had these scraps. I don't remember who this was by. I want to say Lawn Fawn. And I kind of like the gray with this. There's actually no gray. Well, I guess there's a little bit of gray in the pictures with the rocks from the fire. And then there's this one here, which I think might be a Vicky Boone, is that right? No, don't quote me on that one. But I like this kind of mustard yellow. Picks up the yellow in the fire. So I was thinking that I can do something with this. So let me get started. This is how this one turned out. I used almost all of it except for this last little piece. So this is going back in the pile, and hopefully I will use it up on another layout. move on to the next one. Okay, for this next one, I'm pairing up this piece of, I think this was from Photo Play, and I do like this side with the little village and stuff, although this side's really quite pretty, but this is what I was pairing it up with. This is Paige Evans paper. I like that kind of green with this one, and I think this was Paige's as well. And while the birds are super cute, I do like the yellow with this. So while it's a Christmas or a winter themed, I think it's got a little bit of a different feel to it because of the yellow, and I think that makes it kind of interesting. So let me see what I come up with this one. So this is how this page turned out. I do have a small scrap. I'm not doing very good with what my guidelines were to use it all up. It just worked out that way. I guess I probably could have covered it up like I did the big chunk of this yellow, but it is what it is. Anyways, that's how this one turned out. I think this one turned out really cute. I added the snowflakes and snowflake border into the yellow to kind of tie that yellow back into kind of a winter theme. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, the next papers feature some leftovers from a class from Close to My Heart. I have this diagonal paper, and I kind of like this design, so I think I want to play off of that. I've got some solid yellow scrap, some of this yellow with the words, this blue with the turquoise on the other side, and then a solid piece of blue. So let's see how this one pairs. This is how this base page turned out. Like I said, I was using this as the inspiration. I replicated that kind of arrow or triangular look on this side with the blue paper. I do still have a few little scraps left over, so we'll put that in the scrap pile, and maybe we'll use it on an upcoming base page. We'll see how this relates. So this would be a 2-page spread. On to the next. Okay, so this is going to be an interesting mix. These are some leftover bits and pieces from a Vicky Bouton line, and mostly they're just strips. So I'm seeing a Strippy layout in my future. This one came together super easy. Like I said, just a bunch of strips. And I do still have a few bit of strips left over, but otherwise I used everything else. Thinking this is going to be another kind of strippy one. This is a partial strip, so I'm thinking maybe down another angle, not too sure. I also think I might be able to use some of this left over from the other kit, as well as maybe this green, or I have this green stripe. Oh, I think I like that better. Or maybe we'll do both, who knows. So let me go and put this one together and be right back. So this is how this one turned out. I'm thinking that this will either be a great spot for a title, or we can easily mat photos, have a journaling block, and then a title down here. So a few different options. Of course, I can always rotate it as well. Who knows what we'll end up doing with it, but I think this one turned out okay. We're kind of piecemealing a bunch of patterns together. Okay, let's see what's next. So these 4 pieces were what I paired up next. I'm not giving up on this piece of yellow yet though, so we might be able to build that into this one. We'll see. We'll see how it plays. The other side are some frames and a geometric, and what do we got here? More of a coral color, and then the dot. So, definitely thinking more this way somehow, and maybe it will just be strips. I'm actually not hating that, but we'll see. I'll be right back. Okay, I went with this one. I'm not 100% sure on this one. Let me know what you think below. Does it work? Does it not work? I kind of went more orange, so I didn't feel like adding in the yellow. So if I could find some orangey scraps, maybe I could add that in, but this is the wrong orange. Just trying to think if this works. Picture a layout, or a photo, I mean. It may need more white, which I'm not opposed to adding, you know, at a later date when I'm scrapbooking or whatever. I don't know. I'm picturing it more this way. I like this floral in this orientation. I don't know. Not sure on this one, but it's just scraps, so who knows. Sometimes the ones that I not too sure about, end up being some of my favorites when I'm all said and done. So I did not use this piece, so this is going back in the bin, and I have a branding strip left over. So that's just going in the pile with the rest. And let's move on to the next one. Okay, so I have a couple strips, and I've got this very scrappy piece. It's got all these tags and tickets on the other side, which I could use as ephemera. But I was kind of thinking maybe more of using the coral red side. Not too sure about that. And then I have this piece of packaging that has kind of a teal green grid on it that I thought might work with this. And then I also found this 6x8 piece of paper that I thought might work. Let's see what I come up with. Oh, and as always, that piece of yellow is floating around the background. Maybe I'll be able to use some of that up as well. Okay, let me see what I come up with. Okay, so this one ended up being a little bit more elaborate. I actually did the embellishments, and I used some of my punches. You can see the collection starting to grow. And I pulled in a small piece of scraps left over from one of the other kits. This was that Close to My Heart one. Still got a bit there to play with. I did manage to use up some of the yellow, but not all of it. So we're getting there. And for these ones here, I think what I'm going to do with the rest of this is I am going to trim these out and treat them like die cuts and just store them that way. Okay, do we think we got one more in me yet? Let's see. For the next layout, I have these 3 pieces of paper that I paired together. I think those will look kind of fun. And I think it needs something a little bit contrasty, so I think I will pull back in the stripe paper as well. And yeah, I think I like that. So we're going to see how this comes together. It's probably just going to be very simple and just strips, I think. This is how this one turned out. Strips of paper, maximizing the use of it, no leftover scraps. It's exactly what I like. I still do have a piece of this stripe paper, not much, but still a little bit. So I'm going to show you where I'm at with my scraps. I still have a ton, but I definitely put a dent in. So let me do a quick recap of all the layouts here, and then we will show you the scraps. So I made 7 single layouts. So the birthday one, a camping one, a winter / Christmas themed one, a very bold one, and a softer, pretty one. The one I'm not too sure about, and the one that's a little bit more defined, and then that last one. Okay, and I did 2 double page spreads. So the crafty layout and the birthday themed one. Although just looking at this, it doesn't necessarily look birthday-ish. It's just because of the script in that paper that makes it a birthday themed layout. Okay, so that's what I created this month. Let me show you what the scraps look like. Okay, so I still have a handful of kind of pre-layout ones. These are ones that I've paired up. So maybe next month we'll continue with this. I don't know. We'll see how I feel, because the next 2 months for Smash Your Stash are going to be user choice. So we'll see. If not, I'm sure I will have another video up on my channel to go through some of these, or maybe in 2024 we'll revisit it. But there's still quite a few, so I'm thinking one more smash before the end of the year. Okay, still a bunch of strippy scraps and smallish scraps. These will probably end up being cards. We'll see in the future. Stay tuned if you haven't already. Subscribe so you'll know when I get up to that. Okay, so those are smaller scraps. And what I'm calling kind of medium / ones are these ones here, where I just kind of try and tuck them in. So still quite a bit, both those paper pads. And then in the case itself, I have some packaging scraps that I think I want to make cards out of, some Felicity Jane. And then these are all solid scraps and some taller or full-size sheets even. So the full-size sheets, I think I just have to put them away. I'm just being lazy. But any of the other scraps I got to sort through. Probably will pre-cut them down into panels and stuff. So let's add these back in if they'll fit. Okay, so they do fit. And then these scraps. I don't know, you guys. It doesn't even look like I touched. I thought I put a dent in it, but it doesn't even look like I did. That's disappointing. Definitely gonna have to tackle some more. I guess on the plus side is it didn't close before, and I think it will close now once I just shift everything down. Let me know below if you want me to do another scrap bash in 2024. No promises, but let me know if I get enough requests. Maybe I will. But the good news is I can close the bin, so we'll take that as a win. I hope you guys are inspired to dig out some scraps from your stash and smash them this month. Be sure to check out the other collaborators. This is a collaboration hosted by Beth from Bourbon Creek's Craft, and it's a hashtag collaboration, which means if you click on the hashtag, you should be able to see all of the videos that are posting this month. Thanks so much for hanging out with me, and until next time, happy crafting.